Hello everyone, Fanta here, you're watching FANTAVISION, and today I am discussing the PlayStation 5 because Sony has recently just confirmed that it's going to be called the PlayStation 5. They've also talked about the release date, they've given some more specs on the controller, a couple more specifications on the console itself. So let's quickly go through all of the information that we know already, just to kind of catch some people up, and give the new information that we know. And it's quite interesting. So let's dive right in. So right off the bat, the price has not been confirmed, unfortunately. There has just been kind of a vague quote that we can work with and try to figure out what that means. And, okay, so Mark Kearney of Sony, and I quote, says, "I believe that we will be able to release it at a suggested retail price that will be appealing to gamers in light of its advanced feature set." Now, Microsoft said the same sort of thing about the Scorpio and released it for about $500, or Xbox One X. Released it for about $500. I don't think it will be any more than that, but I would definitely guess that the PS5 is going to be $500. That would be a reasonable price point, but it does seem like, you know, I mean, console prices are going like this, computer prices are going like this. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the future when they're about the same, which honestly I'd arguably say it's already happening. But it'll be interesting to see what happens when PCs are easily available as gaming devices and more people start picking up PCs over consoles because the prices are going to be so similar. I don't know. I don't know if that day will ever come, but it seems like as the console prices keep going up and the technology for computers just keeps going down, they're going to meet at that point, or at least be more obvious to people that they're meeting at that point, and we're going to see a shift, I feel, in the future. I know it's just speculating, it has nothing to do with the PlayStation 5, but considering the price keeps going up seemingly every time, well, I guess, you know, the 360 is 400, PS4 is 400, maybe the PS5 will be 400, but I feel like a realistic guess because of these half-generation consoles being about, you know, $500 each. I don't remember how much the PS4 Pro was because nobody bought it, but it was around that area, so I could easily see it being a $500 console. But they're not going to do $599 US. They're not going to make it a $600 console like they did with the PS3. Sony's learned their lesson because these companies don't make their money from the console. They make their money from all the licensing fees and the percentage that they make off of the games sold on the system themselves. So they want to get as many of these systems as they can into households. So it really, I mean, it would be very beneficial for Sony to price this thing under the Scorpio, because guess when the release date is? That's right, everybody. Q4 of 2020. When is the Scarlet coming out? Q4 of 2020. That's crazy. I'm trying to think of the last time that consoles released that close together. Because remember, there was a year apart from the Xbox One and PS4, or something like that. And then the 360 and PS3 had the same sort of thing. The 360 came first. So with them launching the same year in the same quarter, that's crazy. That is insane. I feel bad for people that work in retail. It's going to be a shit show. Wow. I mean, it's going to be some fierce... This is going to be a real console war. Like, there was some like console wars or whatever, but this is literally a launch happening at the same quarter. That's insane. So for people like me who buy all the consoles, usually I get to space it out by a year. This is going to be a very expensive year. And I mean, I feel like I have to get it so I can review it and get all the games and talk to you guys about it. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to be able to afford this. That's the thing though, and that's why I call it a real console wars, because before I feel like people that are like me and can't afford to buy two consoles at the same time, it gave people spacing so they could like, oh, well, I'll get the Xbox One then, and then I'll wait, and I'll have enough time to kind of save up for PS4. But that's not going to be a thing this time. And it'll be interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing the sales charts when that rolls around. at the same time, I don't know. It's the only sales pitch on both of these consoles is that they're backwards compatible, because I guess at least Xbox is going to have Halo, but what is PlayStation going to have at launch? Because the PlayStation 4 had really crap games at launch, and the Xbox One launch games were it's okay. So that'll be really interesting. I have no idea what that's going to be like. Ray trace. Okay, let's get to the specifications of the PlayStation 5. There's going to be ray tracing, which is just a standard now for all the new graphics cards that are coming out. So, kind of an expectation. 8-core CPU, again, a expectation that, I mean, that's not really saying anything. An 8-core CPU. Yeah, it's going to be that. 4K Blu-ray disc reader. Now, that's new. And why that's so new is because, for some reason, the PlayStation Pro did not have this feature. It didn't make any sense to me. And what it seems like is that the games are going to be on 4K Blu-rays. In fact, I think that was confirmed. 4K Blu-rays are going to be the game discs, which begs the question, are these discs going to be more expensive? Are games going to start being $70 at launch? I hope not, because they're already not really $60 because of all the DLC and microtransactions, season passes, and all the different editions. But with this new technology, I don't know, it'll be interesting, because we didn't really see a big price increase between the 360 games and the Xbox One games. So, I mean, those are different disc technologies as well. So maybe there won't be. I don't think they'd want to price up each game to $70. I think that's a bit too much. So I think it's still going to be $60, but it is interesting that we're going to be stepping into another new technology again when it comes to discs. And supposedly, it's going to have 100 gigabyte read speed or something crazy like that. So that's why they were talking about load times being next to nothing for PlayStation 4 games right now that are going to be backwards compatible. Which is just, by the way, backwards compatibility on both consoles. That's a huge selling point to me, guys. I know for some reason, like, some people don't care about backwards compatibility, but the fact that your entire library that you have right now of games, whether it be on PlayStation Plus, digital, physical, it's all going to be backwards compatible. Now, I say digital, I don't know why they wouldn't bring that over, but physically for sure, backwards compatible, your discs are going to work. And I feel like that's always been a strong suit on the PC, is that it's always been backwards compatible. So the fact that the Xbox One is going to be now backwards compatible all the way back to, I mean, even some Xbox original games, that's awesome. Especially because it's supposed to be improving it. Whereas the Xbox One kind of had some issues with 360 games. Some of them weren't working right. Some had more glitches introduced. But this is going to be faster load speeds. The games are going to look better. All of that is pretty much confirmed on the PlayStation 5. I don't know how the Xbox Scarlet is going to treat backwards compatibility, but they're going to want to do the same thing as PS5, or they're going to lose the next generation just like they lost this one. They're also, okay, this is something I haven't heard from Scarlet yet, is a specialized solid-state drive. I don't quite know what that means. They didn't really clue into what a specialized solid-state drive is. Maybe they just made it specifically for gaming so it can run... I don't understand. I don't know what that means. So, as it gets closer to launch, I'm sure they'll talk about that. They just vaguely said it's going to help with load times and games in general, but we'll see how that is. They also haven't confirmed the size of the solid-state drive, which I will argue is incredibly important. Because games, holy shit, the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, the hard drives that were included in those, not good enough. Not good enough at all. It took until the Xbox One S and later versions of the PlayStation 4 for you to get like actual terabyte size hard drives. If this comes with a 500 gigabyte solid state drive, I'm going to lose my mind, because that's like 5 games nowadays. So they need to be at least 2 terabytes, guys. I'm telling you. I know a terabyte has been fine for this generation for most people, but these games are just going to keep getting bigger. And if they're going to keep improving the technology, and they're going to keep installing the damn games onto our systems, and they're going to keep releasing broken games that require giant updates, we're going to need big hard drives. So I don't know. We'll see. If they keep up the trend of broken games, we definitely will. If they don't, though, these 4K Blu-rays are going to hold a lot of data. So maybe it'll just read from the discs, especially with how fast the read speed is supposedly going to be. So that'll be very interesting. 8K gaming. Now, I mean, 8K TVs aren't even out yet. I just finally got a 4K TV, so hearing that 8K is around the corner makes me kind of sad. But then again, I haven't seen any 8K TVs in the market yet. I'm sure they're out there, probably thousands of dollars, and by the time I pick up one, it'll be just as deeply discounted as my 4K was. But that's interesting. So they're trying to future-proof this system for sure with this 8K gaming. Again, I don't remember if Scarlett talked about that, but the fact that PlayStation is, and they're looking to make this high-fidelity gaming console, that's why, again, I think it'll be $500, and they're trying to push the boundaries. That's good. Another new thing about the PlayStation 5 is the operating system, and that's kind of a given, but how they were talking about it, it didn't quite make sense. They were talking about how you could see in-game objectives and quests that you needed to do and things like that before you even got into the game. Like, you just see it on the home menu. I don't know how that's going to work. I try to picture that in my mind. There's no images or screenshots of that on the internet yet. There's really just people talking about it, and the way they've been talking about this new operating system, it sounds cool that they're really trying to just add as many bells and whistles as they can to just the home screen and display as much information as possible, but I don't want it to look like a mess. I would honestly rather go to a more simple home screen. Do you remember when the Xbox 360 didn't have the blades, didn't have the most recent one, but the one kind of in the middle, that operating system, I felt like was amazing. And then they just kept making it worse. But there was a sweet spot in the 360 lifespan where the home screen was just beautiful. Just please, for the love of God, make it easy to navigate, and don't do what you did this generation. I don't like either of the home screens very much. Something they also talked about was the controller. And the controller, whenever they start talking about all the new technologies they're adding to it, I start to get worried about the pricing. And lots of gaming websites out there are already talking about how they expect to see the prices go up to $70 for the controller. I see that happening. And it's unfortunate because I don't think it needs to. I think if they remove that stupid light thing, if they get rid of the speaker in the controller, if they get rid of all these unnecessary things like the gyro thing in the PlayStation 4 controller, I don't think I've ever used that in any game. PlayStation 3, I used it in like one game. It was a launch title, so it was basically just using all the gimmicks of the controller just because, look, it's got a 6-axis, but nobody cares. If you remove all the gimmicks and you just stick in the new things that they want to, which are the haptic feedback, which is going to be sort of an HD rumble, except actually do something. Or you could look at the Xbox One controller. You know how it's kind of got like the different rumbling and the triggers. They're going to want to do that for the whole controller. That's really cool, but I don't want to spend $70 on a controller if that's what you're just going to do with it. I mean, if you're just going to add different rumbles to it, I don't think that's an extra $10 on top of it. Remove the useless technology, add in the new cool stuff. One thing that actually does sound really cool is the fact that the triggers will have adaptive resistance. Adaptive resistance on the L2, R2 triggers. So that means like if you're using like a gun, it'll feel different than a bow. That's awesome. That kind of stuff is really cool. Do more innovation like that. Keep putting that stuff in, because I loved the Xbox One controller and how it rumbled with the triggers, and how when you're driving in games you could feel the terrain and how the engine was responding and the braking, and it was really cool. I didn't think it was going to work as well as it really did. Keep doing actually useful things that you're going to be able to use in lots of games, because developers are going to be able to tinker with that. Like I said, they're going to be able to change how the triggers work. I'm really looking forward to seeing what creative things they can do with that. And because those are simple things, those aren't just gimmicks. Those are things that can be easily built into the game. I mean, lots of games you can use guns, lots of games you can use bows, lots of games will be able to use the triggers in creative ways. And same with the rumbling. The rumble features are going to be used in lots of different creative ways as well. Whereas light bars and speakers in the controller and motion just feel like gimmicks. So less of that, more of what you're doing. But please don't jack it up to 70 bucks. I know Nintendo already did for some reason. I don't really quite know why it's 70 bucks. But please, please don't. Controllers are expensive enough. And thankfully the Scarlet is going to have the ability to play with the Xbox One controllers. That's awesome. I have so many Xbox One controllers because I'm an idiot, and I bought lots of the Collector's Edition ones, and I was like, oh, I totally need 4. At least I'll be able to use them on the new Xbox. So hopefully PlayStation does the same thing. Hopefully you'll be able to use the PlayStation 4 controllers on the PlayStation 5, but that has not been confirmed yet. So, to sum it up, holiday 2020 is going to be an insane time, and I feel bad for retail stores, I feel bad for parents, and I specifically feel bad for GameStop, because that is going to be a complete nightmare. I mean, 2 massive console releases within a couple months of each other. It's going to be crazy, and I really do hope they come out with some real launch titles and not Knack, not Rise, not just garbage games. Put out some good stuff. So let me know what you guys think in the comments of the new PlayStation 5 details. I really hope it doesn't look like that. It'll probably look like same basic thing they keep releasing. I'm sure the Xbox will look like the same basic thing they keep releasing. And like the video if you guys liked it, subscribe for more content, and as always, have a fantastic day. See you guys.